Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another Manchester United news roundup on the channel where we're going to be getting into what Erik Ten Hag has said on Man United. Erik Ten Hag hit the nail on the head in his press conference yesterday where he spoke about Manchester United's problems, the lack of midfield balance, we're not creating enough chances for Rasmus Højlund and more. And it gave me a lot of confidence that Erik Ten Hag knows what he's doing. We've been frustrated with Ten Hag, but he's even said himself the style of play is not how he wants to play. The midfield lacks balance. They're not creating enough chances. It seems that Erik Ten Hag knows where all the problems are, and that's given me a lot of confidence in him. We've also got a big boost on Marcus Leonardo to Manchester United from Dean Jones, who's a good source as well. We're going to get into that, the kind of player he is and what we know on that so far. We'll also get into a general sort of transfer news update. We've been linked to Vanderson, but I just think that's lazy journalism because Monaco, Paul Mitchell, I think we're just going to get linked to Monaco players. But apparently Todibo is the number one transfer target, and we've got a big boost on Todibo and Marcus Leonardo ahead of the January window. And then we've got reports coming in on Ratcliffe and his plans. However, it's come out from a tier 3 source, so I thought I'd leave that at the end. So let's get into what Ten Hag has said. So in the last week, Ten Hag has said two things. Yesterday, he said this. He said, playing with our best 11, we will have more automations. So far, we have had to change a lot of things. The midfield is not yet balanced. I'm sure that once we'll get there, we'll play better. I like that Ten Hag has pointed out and admitted the midfield is not balanced. One of my biggest problems with Ten Hag is I'm thinking, what is this midfield? Why is he persistent with this midfield? How can he see this, that there's no balance? But Ten Hag can see what we're seeing. He can see the midfield's got no balance. He can see that needs to change. He can. And that's important for me because I think with Ten Hag, my biggest concern this season has been on the midfield and his in-game management. But the fact that he's pointing out the mistakes, I think is a good thing because it says to me he's aware. Ten Hag said, with all respect, did you see last season? Everyone knows why we can't play a style. We have so many injuries. You have to be pragmatic. But I've always said that's never an excuse not to win games. Again, Erik Ten Hag sort of speaks about how he can't play the way he wants to yet. He can't play a style yet because of the injuries. Now, I'd like to see a style implemented. I don't think injuries is an excuse. Ange had 9 men and was still playing his style versus Chelsea, although they did chip 4 goals. But to be honest, Tottenham could have got a 2-2 result versus Chelsea with 9 men. And I think, no matter the injuries, no matter what, I think at least try and implement your style. Whereas I think Erik Ten Hag is looking at it like from a results basis, one game at a time, rather than a building basis. And I want to see him go from a building basis. And I think Devil's DNA hit the nail on the head with their tweet in response to this. He said, what I like about Erik Ten Hag and why I still back him is he knows what he's doing and he's admitted he's being pragmatic and the midfield balance isn't there. What I like is he's being too negative about how we can't play better even against weaker sides without the fantasy best 11. And I think he hit the nail on the head. I like that Ten Hag knows it's not midfield balance. I like that Ten Hag knows we're not playing great football. But it's like, I want to see it. I don't want to see it as an excuse not to see better stuff from United. Ten Hag also spoke about Rasmus Højlund, how he's settling in at United. A few people calling him a flop already, which is crazy because he gets no service and he's been very good in the Champions League. And Ten Hag said this on Højlund. He has settled in well, 3 goals in the Champions League, which is very good for an adaptation period. As a team, we can do better and create more chances for him. The automation will get better as time goes on. It's great to work for him. He then spoke about how Rasmus Højlund is not having chances created for him. And he said, Højlund understands the difficulties we have in creating chances right now, but we talked to him about it. He's still a young player. He's still intelligent and he still understands the situation we're in. He wants to score goals. He's very enthusiastic and works hard in training. So Højlund knows he's not having chances for him, but he knows the situation. They're not creating chances and, he wants to score goals. But one thing about Højlund is even when he doesn't score, he's always has like a good game. Just the way he links up play, holds up the ball, dribbles. He's one of those guys, even if he's not scoring, like his importance to the team is very noticeable. And I think, even in games where he hasn't scored, he's been good. And considering Newcastle's goal stood, his goal should have stood versus Brighton as well. So we should have a Premier League goal. Technically, he's hit the back of the net 5 times, considering the lack of service he's got, but only 3 have counted. Continuing on as well, Ten Hag did just say in his press conference that Martinez and Casemiro probably aren't back until about January, but Rashford is 100% committed to United and he's working really hard to get back on track. Rashford will be back ahead of the game, which is brilliant. But I now want to dive into the transfer news and takeover news. And we got this report coming in just now from Called Offside that Jean-Claude Todibo is top of Manchester United's list for a new centre-back. He is the preferred option for the club. Todibo has been scouted closely by United and it's widely felt that he could soon leave Nice for a new challenge. The French side will likely ask about 44 million to let him go. So in the summer, he was 38 million. I mean, Nice are top of the league. He's been absolutely fantastic. So I'm not completely surprised that it's gone up to 44 million, but maybe Ratcliffe can get us a good deal there. Just to give a little bit of context about how good Todibo's been, he is the blue graph. And, this is compared to Ignacio and Antonio Silva, who are centre-backs I'm a fan of that we've been compared to. But you can see aerially, defensively, Todibo just beats them. Carrying, he's up there with them. Passing, he's up there with them. Antonio Silva was just another level for forward passes because that's just the way Benfica play. But you can just see his map compared to other midfielders, his defensive map, and just how well-rounded he's been, how good Todibo's been this season. He's been absolutely unbelievable, and I really want to see him at United, and I'm so annoyed we didn't sign him in the summer. I'm annoyed we didn't sign Kim Min-jae in the summer either. Continuing on as well, these were the other transfer stories. It was said by Graham Bailey and Scott Saunders, who are probably like a tier 3 source, that Man United are interested in Vanderson and Fofana. We were actually linked to Fofana back in summer by Romano, so there's definitely an interest in that player. And obviously, they're saying we have an interest in Vanderson. I just think it's because we're getting Paul Mitchell, and Paul Mitchell was at Monaco last. Let's link us to Monaco players. I just think it's lazy Paul Mitchell speculation. I think a lot of the transfer news is lazy speculation at the moment because I think with the uncertainty of our ownership, we don't really know what's going to happen in the January transfer window. We know the positions United want. We know the kind of players United want. But I think, it's a little bit speculation. The one that isn't speculation, because I know we've been linked to him a while and I know from good sources we like him, is Marcos Leonardo. And it was said here by Dean Jones, who I think is a pretty good source. I'd say upper tier 2. I wouldn't say tier 1. But he said Manchester United scouts have been keeping tabs on Santos striker Marcos Leonardo. His price tag is 20 million. We know from Sami Mokbel, a very reliable source, the first to break the Mason Mount story this summer, that United are looking at a striker to partner with Rasmus Holand. However, they're looking more at experienced strikers, but we know that Leonardo's one on the list. United upper tiers have got inside sources at United confirm Marcos Leonardo's on the list. Many reliable sources confirm we have an interest in Marcos Leonardo, but we've also got to remember that clubs like Villa have an interest in him, clubs like Roma do. And the problem is, I thought we were going to get Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo wanted United. United were interested in Gakpo. Got to January. The Glazers do their thing where we've got no money to spend in January. I worry that will be the case with Marcos Leonardo, and then he'll end up going to our rivals because we don't know if we're going to spend in January or not. Reliable sources are saying we're more likely to spend in January now because of our poor start to the season. If we sell, we'll spend in January. Some sources are saying we can't spend in January unless we sell. Some sources say it depends on Ratcliffe, so who knows? One of the things that was spoken about is possibly Ahmad going on loan to Wolves. I mean, look, I would probably keep Ahmad unless we're bringing in a right winger, just because Sancho is going and Anthony's been iffy. I'd probably keep Ahmad. But if we do bring in a right winger, then yeah, feel free to loan Ahmad out because he's missed most of the season through injury, so it'd be really important for him to get minutes under his belt. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more detail of Marcos Leonardo because there's some good sources and some good people I know in the space saying that United do generally have an interest in signing Marcos Leonardo in January, but it just might depend on where we are in the league, where the takeover's at and sales. But we were linked to him back in August. We've been linked to him for a while. We've definitely been watching this guy. And this is what I said back in August. I said, Man United are rumoured to hijack Marcos Leonardo deal and outbid Roma. He's 20 years of age and he got 7 goals and 1 assist in his last 6 games. Obviously, these stats dated back to August. I'll probably have to do a more updated look at his stats and a more updated report on him nearer January. He had 16 goals and 4 assists and 32 starts at Santos and it carried them this season. When I watched him and I watched clips of him, I did a bit of an analysis on him in summer because we were linked to him quite heavily. I said he reminds me a little bit of Aguero. He looks technically solid and good on the ball. He uses his physicality well and can play with his back to goal. I think he reminds me, maybe it's his physique, but he reminds me a little bit of Aguero. He moves and has the instincts of a natural goal scorer. Very intelligent guy, very hungry to score goals. Obviously, could be a problem just because we don't create chances, but his movement is very, very good, just like Hoyland, really. And 20 million euros looks like a bargain because Roque and Endrick, those 2 players have been quoted like 70 million euros, those Brazilian talents. So I think 20 million euros, that's like 15 million pounds, could be a bargain. I remember when we linked to Julian Alvarez for 15 million pounds and we're like, this guy could be a bargain, and it was a bargain for City. I think Marcos Leonardo is that next sort of Julian Alvarez type guy that could be a bargain. He has 26 goals and assists in 37 games for Brazil's under 20, so pretty solid guy. The only thing is, will we need a more experienced striker to come in next to Hoyland rather than 2 very young strikers? I think that, for me, is the big question mark, but I'd be more than happy if we did sign Marcos Leonardo. He is a great player. Now, I wanted to end today's video off on a little bit of a takeover news update front. Nothing particularly interesting, and it's come from Footy Insider 247, which is, to be honest, a very low-ranked source. It's not the best source in the world. But I wanted to see your thoughts, and it was just said here, Sergio Ratcliffe is planning to add 2 more clubs to his network within the next 12 to 24 months, so next 1 to 2 years of his United takeover. At present, United are unable to sign under 18 players due to Brexit changing work permit rules that has hugely affected their ability to source and develop young talent. A well-placed football insider that Red Devils chief currently feel that they are working with one hand tied behind their back. So United are making complaints about new Brexit rules and stuff, and then Ratcliffe could be buying out more clubs, which potentially could help United with youth players. You go develop them at another club like sort of RB Salzburg and RB Leipzig do, which I think is quite smart. But the City Group do it, the RB clubs do it. It's quite smart as long as it's in the rules, and we're not going to get any trouble for that. But again, it's Footy Insider. Take with a pinch of salt. I would need more information on that to really talk about it in much detail. But that is the latest Manchester United news in terms of transfer, takeover, pretty much every story coming out. I feel like the news has been a little bit dead recently, but we've got a big game versus Copenhagen. Hopefully we win. Hopefully we get a result, and hopefully Bayern win and we win, and Galatasaray drop some points. And then all we've got to do is beat Galatasaray away from home, which is a lot harder said than done. And then we're through to the next stage of the Champions League. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. Bye.